Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to have a look at the brand new collection from Sentimentally Yours, and it's called Sunflower Parade. And as the name suggests, it features sunflowers. So let's have a look at the stamps that are in the collection. Now they are all A6, and there are 4 kind of collage sunflower stamps like this one, and they've all got kind of I suppose inspiring lovely names to them rather than just sunflower 1, 2, 3 and 4. And so you can see here we've got the main sunflower in the center, and then we've got some bits and pieces around it. Now I believe that there are 2 with a vertical orientation and 2 with a horizontal orientation, but on the packaging they're all vertical. So do have a look when you come to stamp them that your clocks are in the right direction, or your postmarks in the right direction, or your text is in the right direction. So I mean, it doesn't really matter, but you might want to check it. So that's the first one. That one's called Beautiful. Then we've got Elegant, and I'm not sure, we're not using this one, we're using this one on another demo. Then we've got Graceful, and we've also got Gorgeous. So you can see they're all slightly different. That is one of the horizontal ones, because you can see that you've got the sunflower the other way up, but of course there's nothing stopping you using in vertical if you want to. Then to go with these, we've got 2 backgrounds. We've got this exquisite background, which is obviously a collage of lots and lots of sunflowers. Really, really useful background. And then we've also got this one. And this one is Enchanting, I think it says. Sorry, can't read the small writing. Yes, Enchanting, sorry. And this is a collage of lots of postmarks, splodges, text. And this one obviously is going to be useful to use in lots of different collections. Floral Curios springs to mind. Also all your paraphernalia type stamps. Any of the previous collections, actually, this will work as a background. As I said, they're all A6. So those 6 stamp sets are the ones that have been featured on Create and Craft TV. But they're also available from my website, which is juliawattscrafts.co.uk, and also from Honeypot Crafts as well. Then there are 2 stamp sets, again A6, which are only available from retailers. They're not available from the TV at all. And it's only a select number of retailers that have them. So I have them, and they're also on Honeypot Crafts. So these are your fabulous blooms. So this is a set of 7 stamps. You've got different sizes and different angles of sunflower blooms there, which are really easy to fussy cut. And then you've got your obviously sunflower text as well. And then you've also got a sentiment set, your script sentiments. Again, this is only exclusive to retailers, not available on the TV. And you've got some there which are long sentiments. So you've got With Love, Cherished Moments and Happy Birthday. And they are going to fit in your debossed flags and banners die set. And then you've got 1 or 2 others as well. It's a really nice modern font on that. And that also matches the sunflower font there on that set. And also the one that is on the background of that. So those are your 6 stamp sets. So let's crack on and do your demo. So let's do our stamping first. I do have a plan, and let's see if this plan goes to plan. And let's see what we've got here. I have to try and remember what I was doing. What's for what? I think we're having this one first. In fact, let's go off at a tangent already. And let's go for, because I've got a frame here, and this is from your debossed double stitch squares, from this one here, debossed double stitch squares. So you'll find those on our websites as well. All my squares have just come off my magnetic sheet. Those to one side. Okay, so we're going to go on to frame first, because I do want to add a little bit of detail from one of the stamps to two of the corners. And we're going to use the Graceful stamp, and we're going to have an acrylic block, and just for a cushion I'm going to actually stamp in here, but I'm not actually using all the magnets. Not much room. I wonder how long it's going to take me before I actually hit the camera. Not long. Put my magnets so that they don't all bang into one another. So we're just using this as a cushion. So I'm on a Sentimentally Yours acrylic block here, and I'm just going to use some of the ends of the stamp. Now my main stamping is going to be in black, in Nocturne Versafine Clair. But I think, because I think it's going to be too much to have loads and loads of black, I think I'm going to do a little bit in the Morning Mist, which is the grey. Don't know how it's going to turn out, but we do have a plan, but we'll see. So I'm thinking, which way up does it go? I think it goes that way. Let me have a look. Yeah, it goes that way. So I'm thinking what we'll do is we will, it doesn't really matter, we're going to have a little bit in one corner, like so, and then we're going to have a little bit in the other corner as well. So let's grab my Versafine Morning Mist. We're just going to break up the plainness of this frame. I'm just using my stamping platform for the cushion. Now if you do have one of the old Sentimentally Yours stamping mats, then that's going to be quite handy. Let's look. Let's have it there like that. And we do have the 12, I think it is, the X11. So we've got just a little bit in the frame there. It's quite nice, I like that. And then let's have opposite corner, just a little bit like that maybe. Yeah, we'll have that. So not as far up. We could do it exactly the same. Do we want to be symmetrical? Oh, decisions. You'd think I thought this through, wouldn't you? I haven't. Let's go. Let's just use the other bit. Okay. So we can show another bit of the stamp. So I don't really want any of the sunflower on it, but I do want that straight, like that. We've got a bit of interest on our frame. Okay, so that's that. And now I think we will actually stamp this in its entirety, but of course the stamp is dirty, so we've got to be quite careful now. So let's pop this in here with our magnets, and I think we can probably go right the way up to the end, up to the corner, give it a butt. And we're going to use the acetate. Just pop that in there. And then we can peel this off the block. Doesn't matter which way up it is. Doesn't have to be straight. I want this one. Actually, I think I want the other piece of card. Excuse me a minute. I think that's for the background. Yes. Yes. I'd still do the same because our stamp does not go right into the corner. Put this on the acetate. That's better. And then we'll pick it up. So it doesn't matter that that stamp has got ink on it. And we're going to now stamp this in. In fact, we're going to dust it with an anti-static bag first. Where's my anti-static bag? There it is. We're actually going to stamp and emboss this because we're colouring in using the Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders. I nearly forgot. And this is the hot pressed super smooth watercolour card, which is brilliant for stamping on. So it's like an off-white colour, finished with grey. So let's have our Nocturne. You're going to love these stamps. Absolutely beautiful. And obviously A6 means that you can use them as they are, and just extrapolate them out onto an A5 card. You can just put them onto an A6 card blank if you want to, with the sentiment across the middle. You can do what we're going to do and pop it in a square. Lots and lots of different shapes. Obviously circles are going to work, ovals are going to work, lots of different shapes are going to work. Give it a good old press. Discovered that the most significant areas are that bit in the middle of the sunflower. That's where it's darkest, but we can always go again because we're in a stamping platform. But we don't need to, I don't think. Let's just press that blot down. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely beautiful collage. Let's fetch this out of here and pop some embossing powder on the top. There for a second. And we're going to use the clear, crystal clear, super fine embossing powder from Sentimentally Yours. Get that on. Give it a flick. I'm going to do all my stamping first, and then I'll do my embossing off camera so it's not too noisy. So that's that done. Let's put this away. So the name of that one is Graceful. Right. Next we want background, which is called Sunflower Parade Exquisite. And this is the one that's going on this piece here. Excuse me. I think we can just about fit it on with the magnets. Just shy of an A6 this is, obviously because I have to go in the packaging. And this one's quite, it's not necessarily a repeating pattern, but if you use the sentiment edges, you can hide the join, and there is a video on my YouTube channel showing that, which is a live video. Doesn't have to be in the middle. We're going to put it there so my magnets fit. And as we're going to emboss it, we're just going to dust with our antistatic bag now. So the reason I do it, the dusting second, is that because of the kind of, it's not sticky, but the stickiness of your stamp, sometimes when you move it around, you are actually create an area where your embossing powder is going to stick, and we don't want that to happen. Sorry, I can't find my Sentimentally Yours anti-static bag, so it's just another one. I am going, because it's a big background, I am going to just take it off, keep that bit in the right position, and just roll it down, because then if there's any air bubbles, then we've got rid of them. So again, we're going with our Nocturne VersaFine Clair. Obviously, when you ink it up, you can see that stamp come to life. Lots and lots of inking. The central areas around the stamp, around the flowers, are the hardest to stamp. Obviously, you can just use an acrylic block if that's what you want to. I would suggest that you do have some sort of mat underneath to help cushion. I'm going to give it a good old press. Missed quite a few bits there, haven't I? Sorry about my noisy desk. Let's see where we're going now. Oh, nearly there. We've got a bit there and a bit there. That looks really lovely, doesn't it? Get our embossing powder on that. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? Lovely layered image. Again, we're going with our clear embossing powder. These pots are really full. Oh, missed a bit. Right, that's that one. Oh, there we go, there's touching the camera. As always. Let's get rid of some of that. Okay, so there's one more bit that we need to just stamp and emboss. Let's patch this off here to begin with. Obviously this collection will work together completely, but obviously you just buy whatever your budget allows. So next we're going to go to that exclusive set. I might as well stamp the sentiment as well while we're at it, actually. I'll put that in a minute. your fabulous blooms. So we're going to stamp one of these. So we've got one of the deboss flags here. So this is your, this is from this set, which is your deboss stitch flags and banners. So I've chosen the pointy one here. So this obviously goes with the rustic typewriter stamps, which I do have in stock. So on that set you've got things that will fit into all of the banners, and you've got the double stitched inner and then the plain outer. So you've got your matte and your layer, and this is going to coordinate beautifully with the deboss double stitched rectangles and squares as well. So this is where a sentiment's going to go. So we can do that in a minute. Let's have a look. I'll do the whatever they're called, dusting in a minute. So as I said, with this one you've got kind of different looks. So if you see, that is kind of pointing that way, that one's kind of pointing that way, and then you've got that bigger one pointing upwards, and you've got some front-on views as well with the sentiment. So we're going to go for this one down here. We're going to pop it on there and give it dust. And then we're going to stamp this one. There's quite a lot of stamping, so it's all in the prep. I find the stamping bit really relaxing actually. There we go. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to fetch that out and put some embossing powder on that. On my pile. Do remember, when you're making yourself a pile of images that you want to emboss, don't stack them on top of one another, because obviously the process of stacking them on top of one another will disturb the embossing powder, so don't do that. Okay, so let's just, the last thing we're going to stamp for the minute is our sentiment. So let's fetch this off here. I mean, we could just put sunflowers in there, but I'm going to use one of the sentiments from the Script Sentiments stamp set. Yeah. So obviously we're going to just go for Happy Birthday because it's very generic. Sure how. Obviously you can just do this by eye. I do like to be able to make sure that it's nice and straight and put it actually position it nice, you know, fiddle with it and make sure that it's right. So I haven't used these before. This is a brand new stamp. I think that's straightish. So we're going to pick it up, then we're going to dust. Okay, dust. Okay, not turn again. It's a really lovely, delicate font, this. I think this might be one of my favourites. As I said, this stamp set and the flower blooms is only available from select retailers, so you can get it from myself. There we go, there's a reminder, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, or you can get it from Honeypot Crafts as well. So beautiful, lovely and delicate. Absolutely love that. Get rid of that. Isn't that lovely? Oh, let's show you the right place. Really delicate. Right, so let's get our powder on that. It's been annoying with that bit of anti-static. Okay, so what happens when we heat emboss it is that the black ink kind of intensifies, and it also creates a barrier for when we want to actually do our painting with our Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders. So I'm just going to pause. You hopefully won't see any difference, and then we'll look at my embossed pieces. Right, so all my pieces are now heat set, so they're nice and shiny and glossy. I don't know if you can see. There we go. So now they're going to resist when we actually come to stamp them, come to colour them in rather. Beautiful background, and we've got our lovely little sentiment as well there. Okay, so there is another piece of stamping that we need to do, and this, we're going to call this the background, and so this is been cut with the double stitch deboss rectangles. Those. So just like the squares, we've got the stitch detail on the inside and the outside. Obviously when we did the square frame, we've got the detail on the inside and the outside of the frame, which is really lovely. So that all coordinates and all looks fantastic. So let's, I think because we're dealing with the big back, in fact it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not, to be honest. But I'm thinking what I'll do is once again I'll use that cushion that I've got in my magnets that I've got in my stamping platform to actually give me a chance to stamp it beautifully. So this time we're going to use that other background. We're going to use the enchanting background. My block, and this one, because I don't want black, overly black, we're going to go with that Morning Mist again. So as I said, this background is going to be super useful for all of your makes, really. Just let me let the cat out. Right, so cat's gone. He did not like the heat tool. I think he might have accidentally heated where he was. The joys of making videos in this house. Right, okay, so now we're going to go with our background. It doesn't really matter which way up it is. Oh, there's, I can see post office. So we're going to be doing just 4 stamps with that. So let's grab our Morning Mist. This would be easier if I had my stamping mat, but goodness knows where that is. It is a background. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit not perfect, but we'll see if we can get it as near as we can. I tend to stamp sideways on, so we're just going to have it. If you don't want it to go on the debossed stitched area, then just pop some masking tape around it, and then you'll keep a nice clean border. But I'm actually not really bothered, because we are going to actually not distress the edges, but we're going to add some more detail to the edge as well. And where it's a big stamp, and I didn't do that thing where I had to get rid of the air bubbles, so try and remember to do that. So we'll soon see what it looks like. Oh, that's very nice. Look at that. Amazing. I mean, in fact, I only need it around the edges, but sometimes it's nice to see how it would look in its entirety. So we just need the top now. This is where you don't get your grey and your black mixed up. So let's see. Fit it in there. Okay. And then we're going to go up there. I do like this background. If you're using, this is a press to impress, but if you're using this, try and use one of these papers that go in it, so you don't have to do any cleaning up. Or if you've got any other platform, just use a piece of copy paper or something so you don't have a clean up to do. So by doing this, so rather than just stamp a little tiny bit at the bottom, just to make it even going across, if you do this, then it means that your background isn't symmetrical, if that makes sense. So you've got the pattern sort of undulating across rather than just being the same across your paper. I don't think I've just explained that very well, but I'm sure you kind of know what I mean. That's that one. And then we just need a little bit at the top. So we need this area here. Okay. That's the grey finished with. This is actually a very, very satisfying background stamp to stamp for a large background. Imagine this if you were doing memory books and you were doing an 8x8 or a 12x12 piece. You could just continue to stamp this for your background, especially if you're doing like a travel page. Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Seamless, I think. Okay, so that's our background. So that's all the stamping done now. Don't need to do any more stamping. Put that to one side. Okay. So we just need that to dry a little bit, because VersaFine Clear takes a little while to dry. So let's actually concentrate on our bits that we've got to colour in. So I've cut my little sunflower out. And the idea is that that's going to go, when we actually put it together, that's going to go kind of on like that. So that's going to set that off quite nicely. And it does look absolutely fantastic in black and white, I think. Then we've got the background. Now the background, I've actually stamped 2 and I've cut them out, turn it over, using the double stitched torn rectangles. No, it's not called that, is it? It's no name. It's a stitch torn rectangle. So I've actually cut it out with that one, which is the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that set. Because I wanted a torn edge, but what I didn't want to do was tear it myself, because then if I tore it towards me, I'd have like the card to sit, the raggedy edge of the card, and I didn't want that. I just wanted a kind of a torn edge, but one that was nice and tidy. So I've got 2 of those, and I've also cut the sunflower out, which was from our Graceful, and I've cut that out with one of the stitch squares, and it's actually the size that's in between my frame sizes. So you can see when that's framed, it looks really lovely, and it does look fantastic in black and white. So if you don't want to colour it in, you don't have to, but obviously we're going to do that. So colouring, let's do the easy piece first. Using my Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders, we are using Dandelion, and I've got some in my palette here. And which way does it open? I never can remember which way it opens. There we go. And you can see I've got all my names of my colours written down. Goodness knows why I didn't write those 2 down. They might not be proper colours, they might be colours I've mixed, but I really should have written down what they are because I haven't got a clue. So we are using Dandelion, which is in this corner here. We're going to use that first. So this is some of the Radiant Lustre Pigment Powder. In fact, let's show you. Let's go into the, I think that's the olive. Yeah, I'm going to the olive and put some in there. And then we're going to take a wet brush, some of the olive, and we're just going to pop it in here like so. There's quite a lot of water in here, and then give it a mix. Don't worry about putting loads in, because you leave it open when you've finished, and then the water evaporates and it sets down into like a solid watercolour cake. Which is fabulous, because then all you do is just mist it with water and off you go again. So there's no waste. So you want it, I know when Kay does it, she says you want it like single cream. I'm making quite a mess here. Try not to make as much mess as I am. That's a little bit runny still. Let's put some more in. I'm not worried about wasting it, because we won't be wasting it, because as I said, it sets down. The water evaporates. What you don't want to do is put the lid on while you've still got liquid paint, because what might happen is if it gets tipped over, then they might mix in with other areas, and then you'll get quite a muddy mix. Let's just add a little bit more, and then we'll call that a day on that. And while we've got our paintbrush in this, we will actually use this. So olive is a lovely colour. It's kind of it goes quite golden on black card. It is always worth doing a swatch on watercolour card, sort of white or the off-white watercolour card, and on black card as well, so you can see the difference, because if you do want to work on black card, it will look different. Let's get rid of some of the shaft. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a couple of leaves, because I've got some leaves here. These are your, what's that called? These are your lovely leaves, which have got inners and outies, and it's just the 3 prong. So we're just going to change these from being white to being this lovely golden olive. So you don't need lots of different colour card if you've got the Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders. I mean, obviously the Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders can be used in lots and lots of different techniques. There's several videos in the Flawless Media playlist section of my YouTube channel, which is at Julia Watts Crafts, and you'll find loads of videos on there with loads of different techniques, because you can mix them with your texture paste. You can sprinkle them over the top of your texture paste. You can obviously use them as a paint. You can stamp with Versamark and then dust over the top. There's lots and lots of different techniques. You can obviously mix them together to make different colours. You can add them to your paints. You can add them to chalk paint. Chalk paint is quite dominant, so I'm just going to miss that because that hasn't mixed in very well. Okay. You can add them to your chalk paint, but chalk is dominant, so all you'll do is use the pigment. That's quite runny now. Right, okay. So we're going to pop that to one side to dry while we work on one of the other colours. Normally I have a bit more room than this. So now we're going to work with the dandelion. So let's I'm going to grab a flatter brush for this. Let's put the top on my olive. Don't knock your powders over. You don't want to do that. So this dandelion, it was like the olive before. But now I just need to work with it to wake it up again. As I said, it's not wasted. You just set it off again. And because this is effectively loads and loads of sunflowers, rather than just colouring each individual sunflower, which you absolutely could, because you could, for example, do some in the orange that's down the bottom here, which is African Sunset, and with the dandelion. You can also use the Pale Gold, so you could have like 3 different versions of it. But what we're going to do is just do a wash over the top. Hoping that we've got enough here to do the 2. I don't actually need to do all of it, but I have. Okay, so there's one. How quick and easy is that? Really easy, isn't it? Let's get this other one. And the embossing powder just pops, because otherwise, if you don't emboss it, what happens is that the mica will it won't have anything to bounce off, and it will just obliterate your line art. So it will go over that as well. So you won't have much of an image to look at if you don't emboss it. So definitely stamp and emboss if you're going to use any of the pigment powders. Isn't that lovely? Really lovely. So that's drying. So let's put that aside to dry it somewhere. Goodness knows where. Put it there with the leaves. And we've also got this to paint, and we've also got this to paint as well. So we could do the same thing with this, actually. We're running out. There's a little bit in the corner there. I don't want watery blotches. Okay, I've got them. Right, that's that. I do have quite a lot of stuff here. I'll tell you what we do. Let's be really frugal. I want to put some water in there. Oh, change the colour of it. Right, don't want that green. Wash my brush out properly. So obviously this one we're going to actually colour in properly, but we could pick up some of the detail there, and then we're going to carefully paint this one in. You don't want it to be too thick, because otherwise you see kind of the bits of the mica, and it's also harder to paint with when it's too thick. I'm trying not to put it down so that I don't waste paint. It just all stick on the bottom, won't it? How frugal is this? Really lovely colour dandelion is. So they're not difficult to colour in, especially if you do that kind of method. I don't want those blotches there. Obviously, fast forward if you're bored. Hope you're making a list of what you want. Obviously, the beauty of YouTube is that you can pause at any time. All of my live demos I put onto YouTube as well. So obviously you've got on there, you've got me saying hello to people. So, but obviously you can still just watch the demo. Obviously, get yourself a really nice set of 8 paintbrushes, which always helps. It is a little bit greeny because of my mistake not cleaning my brush out properly. It's a little bit darker. That's better. You can, once it's dry, if you want to, you can go over on the second coat. All the standard watercolour techniques apply, except that you need to remember that because of the mica, you'll lose your line art if you don't stamp and emboss. But how pretty is that? We can even, if we wanted to tie it all in, we could even do fill in some of the dots. I mean, we're going to lose these anyway behind the frame, but just to say that you could do if you wanted to. And then in the centre and in the centres of the background, we're going to use Choco Oxide, which is down here. Let's just clean up some of this. It feels like such a waste, but obviously if you wanted to, you can create yourself a background by dipping your card into that, because that's a bit of a waste. Okay. Let's start on the background because that's most dry. And we'll just choco oxide. I mean, if you wanted to, you could really lose yourself colouring in these individual ones and just have some really kind of me time, which is rather lovely. Don't want it to be too runny. I'm just going to add a little bit of choco oxide in the centre. Just you'd have to remember that while you're using it, the water starts to evaporate, and so it starts to get thicker quite quickly. And especially when you're doing the washes, you're getting through the paint quite quickly, so the volume that's in your individual palette is going down quite quickly. So once again, you find that it goes thick quite quickly. So just bear that in mind. You could do a wash like I've done, and then you could just decide that you want the odd one or two in a darker colour, so then you could bring the orange out and just colour in the odd one or two if you wanted. There's lots and lots of different things that you can do with it to make it look different. This one there, and that one there. Obviously where it's wet, I'm mixing in a bit of a yellow with the choco oxide. But fabulous! Look at that! Look at that! Isn't that just wonderful? Absolutely wonderful. So let's do the other one. See, this is really easy colouring in, isn't it? There's no skill involved at all. Just a bit of me time. Oh, that's too thick. I'll remove some of that in a minute. Doesn't matter too much because I'm actually not going to use all of this. You do find it goes quite a long way actually, you don't need to dip very often. Okay, I've got all those. Fabulous. So let's do this one now. And then we'll do our focal point, which you'll find, because I haven't done the wash, I mean, if you wanted to keep it exactly the same, the thing would be to actually colour in the centre in the dandelion, and then when you go over with the choco oxide it would actually be the same colour. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I mean, it's fine as it is. But if you want it to be exactly the same shade, that's what you want to do. Okay. Fabulous. Okay, so I think that's all that colouring in that we need to do. Then for my flower, I've also got extra flowers that I've got, and I've taken your what's it called? Precious Blooms. That's what it's called. Okay. Pick it up in a second. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty Petals, Precious Blooms. And this is actually the largest, so just so I thought you'd be able to see better. So just to do your wash again. Should have done that when my thing was all nice and... I've got a lot left of this dandelion. So I think what we'll do is we'll just add some more, because we are going to need it again. I haven't misted it again because there's already quite a bit of moisture in there, and then everything will go all over the place. So I'm just taking a wet brush to mix some of that in. I think that'll be enough for now. Okay. So again, very similar to what we did with the leaves. We're just going to take a flat brush and we're just going to paint the petals. Stick my finger in the middle because I'm not worried about the middle. And because we're using the watercolour card, it's very absorbent, and you can throw as much moisture at it as you like, and it's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So those are our petals. Then I've also got a stamen here, and this is from, which set is it from? Guess. This is from Stamens 2. So this is actually the largest stamen, and we're going to use the Choco Oxide for this. It's quite thick now. And we're going to just paint these. You do want to try and get into the inside of that spoolie bit. Hopefully you can see. I'll show you when it's done, when it's dry probably. And again, this is one that has a lot of them do actually have different colours on black card to on white. In fact, these stamens would look really nice if they were cut in black rather than the watercolour card. Okay, so that's my stamens. Okay, so there's just one other thing that we need to do with the Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders. Let's just move some of these things out of the way. So that's nearly dry. That's nearly dry. There's there, and there, and move that. And tidy this up. Okay, so going back to our background here, I think what we want to do is add just a little bit of interest around the edges. So I've got a piece of cut and dry foam, and just going to add a little bit more water to that there, and I'm going to dip my cut and dry foam into my well to pick up some of this lovely dandelion, and then we're going to just add a little bit of this around the edge. So we're just edging it as if we would edge with something like Distress Ink or Distress Oxide, but this is going to have a lovely shiny edge to it rather than a chalky edge from the oxide, or obviously just the ink colour from your Distress Ink. Okay, that's that one, just a nice edge to it. And then we're going to take, oh, there we go, camera again. Then we're going to do the same thing with our frame. Give this a yellow edge, just on the outside, not on the in. This is quite an involved project, so like I say, you can pause it and come back to it. I think YouTube remembers where you've left off. So there's our edge for that one. Let's put it there like so. I'm going to do something with the Choco Oxide in a minute. Let me think where we're at. I think we're good for now. Let's put that to one side. I'm leaving it open, so as I said, you don't want to have them shut, so that it can actually evaporate the water, so then it'll just set down into a watercolour cake. Right, so out of the way. Flowers they're not quite dry yet, so let's start a little bit of construction. So I've got another of the, this is your Elegant Ebony card, and this is another of the debossed double stitch rectangles, and this is what our background is going to go on. So let's stick this down. Just with Sentimentally Yours glue. So I can see it straight. So I've just gone up a size, so you get a nice deep border. I'll have to lift that up so I can see it straight. It's always nearly straight. Turn it over. I need some foam tape. This is 2mm foam tape. Is the woodware one I'm using, which you'll find usually on my website. I do have stock at the moment. This has one of those sticky backgrounds to it. I can feel it, so it's going to stick to my fingers. So do remember, some of your postmarks you need to make sure they're up the right way when you stick your background on. That's what I'm trying to say. Just realise I probably want to use a little bit more of the dandelion around the edge of my sentiment as well, so I'll do that in a second. And we've got another piece of the watercolour card here. So make sure I've got Eiffel Towers. The Eiffel Tower is a good one because you know that that's going to be up the right way. Okay. So incidentally, this can be reactivated in the same way, so you don't have to have a panic about the cut and dry foam going all hard like it does with acrylic paint, because all you need to do is just mist it with water again. or if you want to clean it out, you can clean it out, you know, a while afterwards. You're not going to have it all hard like you do with the acrylic paint. That needs cleaning out straight away if you use cut and dry with acrylic paint. So there's our sentiment with a bit of ink in inverted commas around it. Let's have a bit more around there. Okay, right, so let's go to where we'll do the flowers in a minute. So I need to come up with my layout. So the plan is to have, let me think, we're going to have this in the background, then this is going to go on top, then we're going to have our frame on top of this, which is going to go on there like so. Then we're going to have another one of these underneath that, like so. And then we're going to have our sentiment down the bottom on our arrow with our sunflower on there like that. That's how we're going to have it. Lovely. And then we're going to bring in some flowers as well. Now I did think that we might be able to get one of the edge sentiments on. So I've got With Love here. So let's stick this together and then figure out whether we're going to use it or not. Okay. So With Love is one of the first 6 that were released. And there are 6 more, so there are 12 in fact in total. So let's just run some glue just around, although we don't need all that. And then we're going to scribble on here. Some tweezers to just dip in these bits. Just in the PVA. We dipped. Looks like we dipped. Okay. And then we're going to focus on the with. Remember, I haven't glued all that. Glued this side though, vice versa. Yeah, vice versa. Right. Okay, so let's leave that to set down for a minute, and then we'll figure out whether we want that. So we need to figure out whether we want that before we actually stick the frame on the sunflower image. Looking for my, there we go. Let's clean that up. So there's a load of gluing to do now. So let's get the sentiment glued. And then we can probably do the flower, and then we'll stick everything down. I've got a bit of wiggle time, which is handy. So that's stuck. That's stuck. So I think we'll put that one on flat. See, you could, if you wanted to, because we know we're not going to use all that, you could cut some of this away. But we won't bother, just in case. And then you could die cut flowers from it. So that'd be nice to see. Flowers cut from a sunflower background. So in an ideal world, I would have given these a chance to flatten out, but you know, I haven't got time for that. Hopefully the glue will grab it. And then we're going to have, this is going to go on top, leaving a border. Oh, I forgot to do that actually. Let's fetch that off a second. Can you get it off? Yes, I can. Right. I forgot to do what I was going to do. Remember, I mentioned Choco Oxide. So let's just dip this other end of the cut and dry in the Choco Oxide, and we were going for this side. Here's my tummy, I'm hungry. It's just going to set it off a little bit, I think, by going around with the Choco Oxide. And because we've got that stitch torn edge, it's going to show off really nicely. Okay. And we'll do the same with this one. So this one's going to be kind of round that way. Don't know if I need to dip again. We've got a bit of this side here. So on that one, oh, we might see a bit of that. Okay. Start again. Okay, more glue. That was lucky, wasn't it? I would have been really miffed if I'd have forgotten. So we want it up this way. And we're going for about there. Now we can take this one. And this one's going to go on tape. I'll go with the two again, I think. Shall we? No, let's go for one. You could see the surrounding area of my desk. I normally craft in a very small area, but this is ridiculous. This one here, and hope it's straight. Now this is where we're going to decide whether we're going to use the With Love or not. So we need to decide now. So I'm just going to trim that off. We don't need all that. And then we're going to trim in the middle. Okay, so we've now got two separate bits. And we're going for, and we had it like that. Some unknown reason. Why did I do it that way? That's where the flowers are going to go. So I think we might end up actually having it like that. Because the flowers are going to go top right and bottom left. So we're going to have it that way, which is fine. We can have it that way. It looks silly. Let's have a look. No, it'll still look alright, won't it? Yes. Okay, so if we want to go with love, then we need to glue it behind here. I think that will work. Like that. Let's do that. Let's do it. But obviously we're going to be gluing the whole of your strip behind there. So let's get that glue on there. This is probably one of my longest demos ever. Which did we do this side? That side? Both of them are nice actually. We could do either. Let's have this one. Don't want that to move. With love. There we go. Okay. But we do want another one of these on, don't we? So we can do that, can set down. And we want this one. This one's going to go on top. This one's going to go about there. So because we've got foam tape underneath there, I think we need to run a little bit of foam tape underneath on the bottom. So it's going like that. So we need foam tape here. And we need foam tape up there, like so. Okay, and then the rest will get glued. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the foam tape as well, so that I'm not so committed while I slide it in place. Hopefully it lets me. Okay. Coming together. So now we're going to put foam tape on this. Oh, there we go, camera again. Sorry. Get carried away. So we're going to put 2mm on your frame. Now it's not necessarily necessary to cut out with the die, because you can just measure it. Obviously with the die you can line up exactly where you want to cut out from your image. You do want to stamp on a bigger piece of card than you need though, because otherwise if you're using a stamping platform there's nowhere to put your magnets. going to put this on top of our image. This one. Stand up so I can see. Bring it that way up. And the middle of it's going around there. I'm going to have it like that. And I'm going to stick that flat on there like that. The cat wants to come in again now. I have to wait now. Nearly there. We are nearly there. Right. Okay, so now we are going to add our sentiment, which is going in down the bottom here. And we're going to have this sunflower there. So we need to make sure we've got enough room to add the sunflower. So, okay. Let's add this with, let's go to 2. And then we need to put a bit of 2mm on the back of the sunflower as well. Like that. So a little bit of glue just here. Okay. So we could leave it like that and it's beautiful like that. Or we could add some flowers, top right and bottom left, to really kind of add to it. It is lovely like that. It does really work like that. Probably with a pearl in each corner, which we will do anyway. But let's add the flowers and the leaves because we can. So for the flowers, remember these we painted earlier. So we're just going to use our pointed tweezers, which are in a set of 3. And because I thought that these, once painted, looked a bit like sunflowers anyway. So that's why we're adding them. So these are your precious blooms. And then we're going to just shape those up. You could shape them down, you could curl them round, but I thought, like I say, I felt these were a bit like sunflowers. I'm not going to use this one because it's a bit big, but I just thought the big one would be easier for you to see. So there we got those 2. So we're going to stick those together. Just offset them. They are 6-petal flowers, which makes actually offsetting them really easy. I'm just going to take a ball tool and just press in the middle. This is a moulding mat. I've got quite a few pre-loved ones, although I might actually, because I've started doing workshops again, I might actually pull them out of pre-loved. This is our stamen, so we're just going to take the embossing tool and just run it around like that, and then it pops up. So that's going to go in the centre. And then we're going to pop that down like so. That's where we're at. See that? And then we're going to take a warm cocoa pearl. Pearl pickup tool. Oh, and some glue first. Won't stick without glue, will it? Don't push down with your pearl pickup tool. So if Phil pushes down with tweezers, I push down with my finger. So I thought those were a bit sunflowery. So let's go back to our card with our flowers that I've already made. I'm going to put some more pearls in. So we've got 3 flowers, and this one doesn't have these don't have a stamen, the small one. We're going to have 3 flowers down there, like that. And then we're going to have 2 up here. Perhaps like that. Maybe, if they'll stay. And we've got our leaves, which are going to go under this one. Not happy with where that's painted actually. It's a little bit, because I misted it, it's a little bit. Where's the olive? There's the olive. A little bit blotchy. That's a bit better. Give that a wipe before I stick my card in it. Do you know, I'm really not sure about this with the flowers. I've made them and I'm not sure I want to use them. Let's have a look. Let me have a look at the camera. Yeah. Without. I think it's the size of the big one that's putting me off. Decisions. This is the thing, you kind of make these things and you think, oh, do I want that or not? I think it looks better with one, whether it's the big one or not. That's too big. Right, so we're not having that one. See, that one would be massive. That one could go in the centre, but it's not going to because we've got that beautiful stamped image. You're not supposed to have 4, are you? Unless we just do... No, I don't like that. I think we'll go with that. That's what we're going to go with. Right, decision made. So let's get the glue on. So they're all always work in progress. And I tell you, if you're unsure about anything, take a picture with your camera. I mean, obviously I'm looking at, because I use Switcher Studio, I'm looking at what I'm recording as well as what I'm looking at, you know, in front of me. And it really helps being able to see before you actually commit. So the pearls you can't get from me. They're only available from Honeypot Crafts. Are you stuck? Yes, you're stuck. You don't want to stick, do you? You talk to your die cuts. I do. Going slightly mad. So we'll pop that leaf under there. And we'll pop this one under on top. And then we just add a few pearls and we're finished. So it has been quite a marathon. We've used quite a lot of products. We've used quite a lot. We've used 5 of the brand new stamp sets. So you can see how they work together as a collection. Okay, so we're going to put, can't put a pearl in this corner, unfortunately. I like to have a pearl in every corner, unless we put them in the back. No, I want them on here. We could put them on the back as well. That's a bit too much glue on there. Let's see if we can get rid of some of that glue. Right, so I think what we'll do is, I can probably get a little 5mm down here. We'll put 5mm in here, again with the warm cocoa. Top. Fortunately the glue dries clear and matte. Don't need to worry about that too much. Let's have a look. Go up a bit. Do we want to put another one? Yeah, let's put another one in the corner. Because we've got quite a big mat here. Not sure how much it'll show up on the black, but I can see it. Okay. Last little bit. If you stuck right to the end, thank you. Do appreciate it. If you're not already a subscriber of my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. There's just loads of videos, quite a lot of Sentimentally Yours videos, quite a lot of Fairy Hugs videos are the 2 companies I work with the most. But there's also some mixed brand crafting as well. So there we go, all done. There we go. Hope you've enjoyed that. So once again, let's just go through the collection. So we've got the Beautiful stamp. We've also got the Elegant. We've got the Graceful, which is the one we've just used. Then we've got the Gorgeous. We've also got the Enchanting background, which we used, and the Exquisite background, which we used, the retailer exclusive Fabulous Blooms, and also the retailer exclusive Script Sentiments. So they are all available on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk, for shipping to UK addresses, and then you will also find them on the Honeypot Crafts website. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and thank you so much for watching.